would like to invite on stage Antonio Derossi, who is joining us today from San Francisco. And Derossi has 25-year experience in the insurance industry internationally, and just continuing our theme of global perspective on Internet of Things and cybersecurity.
Okay, as Santa said, I've been in the insurance industry for the last 23 years, 10 years as a McKinsey consultant, and after a C-level executive in several companies within the Allianz group. I left this kind of job a few months ago to start a venture capital operating insurance and insurance technology as Internet of Things. You will understand why at the end of the presentation. It's going to be very short. Insurance, probably nobody really thinks of, is the largest market and largest sector in the world. Putting together life insurance, P&C insurance, healthcare, we are getting close to 5 trillion of revenues and reserves every year. So that's really massive. Why insurance is important and how Internet of Things is connected to it. It's everything about having an easier life, safer life, comfortable life. Insurance sector has been pretty much static and very much frozen over the last years, but recently now there is a big push that can be really a game changer, and this push is very, very much connected, intersected with the Internet of Things. Why I say this? Connected devices are really changing the way we live. I mean, think about the refrigerator example that the professor gave before. I mean, we have our houses completely connected more and more in smart ecosystems that takes into account not only the refrigerators, but also thermostats and anti-theft, anti-burglary, smoke detectors, and so on and so forth. There are hundreds of things that are entering in our life day by day. Wearable devices, I mean, everything about our body, our medical parameters can be monitored. Autonomous devices are coming to game. Think about driverless cars or automated control on drones, on planes, and all this kind of stuff. All of this is changing the insurance market and our risk exposure at a corporate level, at a personal level completely, with two tendencies. The first one is risks are decreasing. We have a lot of information we didn't have before. It's much easier to underwrite and protect a person with his or her biological data. We underwrite better. Same thing for homeowner properties. I mean, we have control and information coming from how are used anti-burglary devices or smoke detectors, anti-fire, weather management, and all this kind of stuff. We can underwrite, control risk much better. So better underwriting, also better loss prevention. I mean, driverless car most likely are gonna do less stupid decision and less accidents. So we have what is called risk transparency. We understand the risk, we control the risk, we prevent the risk, and we have at the same time also new ownerships, because we have a new game in place. I mean, when we have the safety of our house depending on our actions and from our devices, we have a new way to share liabilities and risk. This is the positive trend that is coming from the Internet of Things. There is also something new that we have to take into account, that are the emerging cyber risks. And we will talk more. We'll talk more about this. But think about what happens in a driverless car that ideally is going to be safer, secure, no stupid decision, traffic fully controlled, if there is a malfunctioning of a software flow, or someone that hacks the software and blocks the car. Who is liable for this? What is this kind of risk? How can we live with this? How can we work in, let's say, new Internet of Things driven society and live in it without understanding all the implications in terms of our well-being? I can spare this and go directly to the next one. As I said, there are a lot of problems and implications in all the insurance world that are coming from the rise of new cyber risks. First, internet connection, the information we have are not only related to information and retail. If you look at internet until a couple of years ago, sorry, I got down. Until a couple of years ago, it was everything about exchanges of information and retail, Amazon and things like this. Now, internet is becoming at the speed of light a hub for healthcare, for services, for manufacturers, for electronics, goods, media, entertainment. So all our life is interconnected in this big cloud of data. I mentioned the risk of malfunctioning of a software due to hackering or just because of software flaw. I mean, think about all the immense quantity of open software that is, we all know, not sufficiently tested, that is a big stomachache for insurance and risk assessors. In general, we know too little about the new risk coming. It's very easy to understand, and this happened many times already over the last years, to understand what is the physical loss that comes from having data or privacy data hacked. But what happens if there is a driverless car or a drone that is malfunctioning or hacked and hit humans? Or you were mentioning before the Jeep case. There has been very recently the Tesla hacking of the steering systems of the electric car that are so famous in this moment in California. This poses a lot of questions that have not yet a clear answer. There are three things that I expect that the industry expects to happen very soon, that are start to fill the regulatory gaps that we have in this kind of stuff. We don't have standards to understand who is responsible for what when we talk about connected devices and Internet of Things. Is the purchaser, is the producer, is the software, is the distributor? We have, this is totally unclear. And again, we can discuss about who is liable and where is the money is flowing, but the entity of the claims that we have over years, over 1 year, is in the range of 4 trillion, 80% of the revenues of the insurance sector. So this is the money that is at stake, more or less. We need to work very much. I like it very much what the professor said before, the word cyber technology. This is the right mindset. Loss prevention, understanding how to mitigate risk, forcing the company we are working with, the company we are seeding, investing in, collaborating with, buying from, to really test and over-test and work to any kind of cyber risk mitigation. One example, it's not really insurance, neither Internet of Things, but strictly correlated. I believe that a lot of the monetary losses and credit risks will be overcome with progressive growth of usage of things like the blockchains and this kind of stuff, where the transactions are more secure. Here the effort has not been to find a better way to mitigate the risk of wrong transaction or cyber theft, but rather find a new system that is less resilient to this kind of attack. The third thing is coming from the industry and is the capability to develop new products, new analytics, and new way to find and assign the risk capitals. This is more technical for insurers, but we are probably moving very much from personal liabilities to professional shared liabilities, and this means really a different way to approach the products and the coverage. What's next? I think that all of this is very exciting in the sense that what I expect is to have new business models in insurance and a huge opportunity for the new generation of IoT startups, because at the end, insurance is the biggest buyer of data. Connected devices have the possibility to crunch, intersect, and deliver all the risk assessment, all the underwriting data we need. And I just throw on the last stone of the pond, if you think about Fitbit, that is a very successful story in terms of wearable device, 80% of the revenue of Fitbit are coming from selling data to healthcare plans. Not the hardware. Hardware has become a commodity in their business model. This is definitely not what they expected at the beginning. I had a chance to talk very recently with their management team, but this is what is it. And again, putting together these two words is a tremendous opportunity for the IoT. And I think I'm done.